motion on the floor is to vote no to not put this on the ballot. The issue I have with that is the charter reads shall.
Pilot Point. You can't forget about Pilot Point, which was on our radar not too long ago, and you definitely can't forget about this guy, Britt Lusk, the city manager. And if you have, here's a reminder.
Threatening me.
Yeah.
Mad mugging my wife. I wanted to go choke them out, to be honest. I was pissed. Being straightforward with you, I think it's bullshit. I think it's chicken shit, and I don't think it should have happened. Now, with that being said, it did, and we're addressing it. But I think to go to social media to air your grievances with personnel is, I can't tolerate it.
Here's the deal, Britt. We have a lot more grievances to air here on social media because that seems to be the only thing that brings results for the misconduct in your town.
Britt is the one who continued to defend the former police chief's behavior. Rex Marks was exposed over and over and over again, and Britt continued to defend him. It wasn't until this council meeting on April 11th that Mr. Lusk was forced to take action regarding his buddy Rex Marks. This came after it was revealed that he had been caught lying about turnover statistics, falsely presenting numbers from neighboring cities to make his own poor statistics look better. But Mr. Lusk finally had to answer for his buddy's actions, and here's the results of that.
After the presentation at the last meeting by Chief, we have a major issue. I had a visit from one mayor in one of the communities on the 377 corridor. I had a text from one of the communities from another of the mayors, and then I had a phone call of a very unhappy mayors asking why we were sharing information that was not true. Chief have sent messages out to to the mayors and to the city managers correcting the information that was presented to us, but I wanted to also give an opportunity to correct it for the community because the numbers were pretty off.
If you see me squirming, it's because of my knee.
No, Britt. We know you're squirming because you have to admit this.
So, in regards to the numbers that Chief presented, so Chief was wrong.
After all the embarrassment and all the exposure, they finally decided to get rid of Chief Marks. But you know, that's not even what this video is about. That's just a quick recap. Here's what the video is really about. The city of Pilot Point claims they have been pointing the way since 1845. But which way exactly have they been pointing? We definitely saw that they looked the other way, especially when it came to Chief Marks, as you just previously saw and can see on a video on our other social postings. But are they looking the other way on this next one too? Seems like they are. Article 6 of the local Pilot Point Charter gives citizens the right to recall their elected officials. The charter clearly reads, any elected city official, whether elected to office by qualified voters or appointed by the city council to fill a vacancy, shall be subject to recall and removal from office by the qualified voters of the city on grounds of incompetence, misconduct, or malfeasance in office. So who is it that the citizens are trying to recall? Let's introduce her. Her name is Elizabeth Jones, aka Lizzie Gator.
Lizzie Gator.
Come, let's mix where Rockefellers walk with sticks or umbrellas in their mix. Putting on the Ritz.
So Elizabeth Jones is a council member, place 4. She is also on the board of directors for the Chamber of Commerce. And she owns the Lizzie Gator wedding venue in Pilot Point. And on this same property, right behind the Lizzie Gator venue, is exactly where Lizzie Gator also resides with her husband Chris at their personal residence. Now, why would I mention that, you might wonder? Well, here's why. The Pilot Point Municipal Development District
which is an affiliate of the city of Pilot Point, has just awarded a grant to Elizabeth Jones for $25,000 for improvements to her business on her property. And citizens, especially this man, her neighbor Stephen Borkelback, are very unhappy about this. Let's listen to what Stephen has to say.
And then Lizzie Gator, the city councilwoman, decided she wanted to build a venue. So John Taylor, Britt Lusk, and the rest of the Pilot Point gang allowed her to build this building on top of this concrete without raising it out of flood zone, without any rebar, no post tension, no moisture barrier, no fiber, no beams, no engineering, no anything. It's something that you or me, nobody else would ever be able to be allowed to do. They would laugh at us if we came in and asked if we could build a commercial building on top of a unengineered, unraised piece of concrete. Anyway, to get to my story, they've, it's a brain blaster. I know it's surprising to everybody, but they've had problems with flooding because they built this building on top of this concrete. They didn't raise it, and they didn't do any engineering. And now they got $25,000 of your money from a grant to help with their flooding, to help with their shortcomings. Think about it, $25,000 is a lot of money. It could have went to my neighbor over here that lost her house from the tornado. I can't see it because of the flag, but she lost her house from the tornado, but the city gives the city councilwoman, the best buddy of Britt Lusk, $25,000 a year tax money.
On the Municipal Development District Board sit two city council members, Andrew Ambrosio and Everett Cummings, who somehow agree out of all the places this money can go, it needs to go to Lizzie Gator's property, their fellow city council member. According to an article written by the local paper, the Pilot Point Post-Signal, Kent Billiter, a new member of the Municipal Development District Board, raised concerns during an unrecorded meeting about a potential conflict of interest involving Councilwoman Lizzie Gator and this grant. He wanted to ensure that no conflict of interest existed. And it was at this city council meeting on June 27th that one of the council members decided to blindside Mr. Billiter regarding his decision to abstain from voting at the MDD meeting regarding the grant for Councilwoman Gator. This was highly inappropriate, as Mr. Billiter was speaking regarding his term on the MDD board. This was his answer, and we found it ethical.
I don't guess you have to answer this, but I'm going to ask it. So on a recent decision that was before the MDD, you voted neither yes nor no, you abstained.
That is correct.
I found that, I was just wondering why you did that.
Can I discuss that in open meeting?
I think so, because it was a public conversation.
So there were some, as the Post-Signal pointed out, I asked some very pointed questions. So one thing that we're supposed to do is to review everything that comes and put in front of the board. And again, I'd only been there for less than 90 days. It wasn't for Lizzie Gator. All the quotes were for the trust, the living trust of Elizabeth Jones. Ms. Jones was not present. I believe she was sick that day, and sent her husband. When I had asked her husband some questions about who owns the entity of the business, he wasn't sure if he was an owner or not.
He's my husband.
Okay. What does that mean?
Yeah, that doesn't always translate. But is that
so
why
I
you...
asked a question. So there were several things that I had asked that I couldn't get clear answers on, and so I abstained. Unbiased.
I will say this: the 90 days that you've been on, you've done a good job. He's done a very good job. He's asked some tough questions.
I will continue to ask those tough questions.
That's needed, right? I mean, you want new people on the board. He's new. He's making us all rethink stuff. So I applaud you for doing that.
Thank you, and I hope, Ms. Jones, when you vote, it's unbiased, just as I was unbiased with you, because I couldn't help but feel there was a little bit of tension when you said he's my husband. So unfortunately, you weren't there that evening. I'm glad that you're better. You look very well. So again, I just simply abstained.
No one fully understands the underlying reason why Miss Jones and her husband Chris require the grant. Their need may be entirely legitimate, However, a more pressing question arises. Why did the city of Pilot Point and the Municipal Development District choose to pursue this course of action? It is likely that numerous other businesses in town could have utilized these funds to enhance their properties. While no one is necessarily labeling this illegal, it certainly appears to be unethical, especially with what you're about to see next. There's definitely more. If you remember it being mentioned just a few minutes ago that Lizzie Gator is on the board of the Pilot Point Chamber of Commerce. Well, guess who is the executive director of the Pilot Point Chamber of Commerce? None other than Yvonne Lusk, which is the city manager, Britt Lusk's wife, and Lizzie Gator's best friend. On the surface, this does not appear to be a big problem. But the issue here is that this could be a major conflict of interest, because as you can see through all these pictures that the Lusks and the Gators are extremely close. Here you can see a picture of Britt Lusk and his wife Yvonne on the couch at Lizzie Gator's venue. And it seems that they hang out all the time. All of this may help you understand why one citizen, Kelly Burgess, decided to act upon her right afforded to her by Article 6 of the local Pilot Point Charter. Burgess is a respected citizen of Pilot Point and a teacher at the neighboring school district. Article 6.02 of the Charter clearly states, petition must be signed by 25% of the number of votes cast for the place or position held by that member of the City Council in the last general municipal election for that place or position. Each signer of such recall petition shall be qualified voter and personally sign his or her name thereto in ink or indelible pencil. And that's exactly what Miss Burgess did. She actually was able to collect more than the 25% of signatures required, and it was submitted to the City Council and verified on May 7th, 2024.
Mayor and Council, I present to you the petition which I received on May the 3rd. It's a petition of recall for Councilwoman Elizabeth Jones. Our charter states that we would need signatures of 25% of the number of votes cast for the place held by that member of the City Council in the last municipal election. Place 4, Elizabeth Jones, received 381 total votes at the May 7th, 2022 election. She was unopposed. Lost the word. 25% of that number is 95. I have verified signatures. I received the petition of 124 total signatures. I was able to verify 105 signatures. I was unable to verify 14 signatures, and 5 signatures were citizens outside of our city limits. So the petition has been validated.
Now, the charter, Article 6.06, gives Ms. Jones the ability to have a public hearing within 7 days. But she elected not to do so, and the 7 days had passed. The recall petition cited 2 different reasons for wanting to recall Ms. Jones. The first being she accepted payment from the city for the use of her venue, which you can see here she did and was paid. But the council, everyone excluding the mayor, didn't see an issue with this because the amount did not reach the threshold listed in the charter. Which it's about to be real clear that they only pick and choose portions of the charter to follow. The second reason cited in the petition is general misconduct and behavior unbecoming. You can be the judge of that.
It shall go to a judge, which it will, and that judge will decide if it's a valid petition. I don't think it's our duty as a council to determine if this is a valid petition. It's not in our wheelhouse.
That's Councilman Ambrosio. You remember Ambrosio. He sits on the board of the MDD as well as City Council, but he would know a thing or two about judges because he was arrested for a DWI back on New Year's of 2024.
Ambrosio remained in his seat the entire time. Questions were asked. Nobody ever said anything, other than we're going to let the legal process play out. Now, in light of transparency, Ambrosio was no build, but on a technicality. What is Councilman Ambrosio referring to when he says a judge will handle it? Well, the point of the recall is to have a special election in November and leave it up to the voters to decide whether they want to remove Councilwoman Jones. But in Article 6.11 of the Charter, there is a provision that gives the direction on what to do if the council fails to act appropriately. And that provision states a Denton County District Judge will then decide what to do.
There's a process, and the validation was validated by our city secretary, and then it was brought before the council. All the process has been followed, but again, there's a motion on the floor to vote yes or no. Are we putting it on the ballot? And the only other thing I would say is that there's 100 and some people that signed that petition, and they followed the process, their constitutional rights and process. And so, to me, the way I see it, to say no and not let the process play out is saying that whatever questions or whatever it is are more important than the rights of the people. And we'll go ahead and vote then if there's no discussion. Councilman Heitzman.
Aye. Aye. Aye.
No.
I recuse myself.
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-1.
Excluding the mayor, whom they all dislike because of her constitutional and ethical stance, the council voted to send this issue to a district judge after failing to act on what was outlined in the charter, which stated that they should send this to a special election in November. However, the biggest problem is that the city of Pilot Point has used hard-working taxpayer dollars to retain an attorney firm at rates upwards of $400 per hour at what they are saying to seek a judicial determination. But the paperwork filed in the District Court of Denton County says otherwise. It's named Kelly Burgess as a defendant, and they absurdly requested attorney fees to be paid by a citizen for simply following her charter as a United States citizen and a citizen of the city of Pilot Point. We do not know exactly what is going on in Pilot Point. The citizens just want to be able to trust their elected and appointed officials. But what's clear is that many do not. What we do know is that the city will punish you for exercising your rights as an American citizen. Additionally, it's evident that the waters are very muddy in Pilot Point.